Hello and welcome to the show with me, Gillian Gott. So today my guest is Richard Thieswick, who is a creative thinker, team player, coach, and co-founder of Action, which is why we're here today. But Richard, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited.
Brilliant. Okay, you're not your average Web3 co-founder, I've got to say. You have a really interesting background. Storyteller, you've written a West End play, you're an actor. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, I was, a bit of an eclectic portfolio background. I think that comes from having three sporty sisters, and coming from a tiny village. So I played a high level of rugby, semi-pro, pro rugby in '95. And then I realized I wasn't going to make it. So I made the natural transition to musical theatre. And as you do,
hang up your boots and take on your, I don't know.
Well, I studied classical acting in London first, and then I went and did musical theatre at Guildford. And while I was there, I was the director of rugby for the University of Surrey for a season. And I got told off for coming in with a black eye before in one of the dance classes. They were like, you have to stop this. And I was also in the jiu-jitsu team. I competed at quite a high level, and I used to come in with mat burns all over, and they're like, you have to decide what you want to do. And I was very lucky, very, very lucky that when I graduated, I'd been given a lot of skills, but also, I mean, I couldn't get an audition for Love Nor Money. I couldn't get arrested for the first few years. I think the first gig
even though you look like so many famous people.
Do you know, I wait until I'll drop the grease bomb in a minute. Do you know, my first job was, I can't believe I'll tell you this. My first job was as a dancing condom, basically, in a tour of sex education in schools in South London, which was quite an eye-opener.
Were you a talking or just a dancing?
Oh, yeah, I played a variety of roles. That one really, really stands out, though, as, great.
I was once a tree in a play.
Oh, there you go. You probably would have made it into a nativity. I probably wouldn't. So anyway, I ended up in Grease the Musical in the West End and on tour.
And who were you playing?
I was the chubby, funny one at the back.
Oh, you weren't John Travolta.
I wasn't John Travolta. I couldn't dance it. I didn't play Danny Zuko.
Ah, because you look so like him.
I played.
Who else do you look like? We've decided you look like the chef, Jamie Oliver.
Wow.
And Harry Enfield and John Travolta. It's a lot of people. I'm surprised you couldn't get any like stunt double things or, like stand-in doubles work.
He's the only person that if you said to me, you want to meet anyone in the world, I want to meet John Travolta, just to see if when we look at each other, the universe just ends. If that's the point where it's us, with both sides of the mirror. When I'm going to show you this. I don't normally have a prop to hand, actually, but
a face. For those of you not watching on video, Richard is holding up a double-sided picture. On one side it's John Travolta, on the other side it's yourself. Oh my goodness, that's a bit scary.
No, it was me.
Was it not you?
No, it was John Travolta.
Don't fool me. Anyway, so you did a bit of acting, quite a lot of acting. And more recently, you had a one-man play, I think, as well.
Yeah, I was a karaoke host at a really dodgy pub in South London, and run by a guy called Honest Dave, whose best mate was called Daddy Les, and opposite the Old Vic. And I trained at the Royal Court as a playwright, and then at the National Theatre in the studio, and I wrote a play about being a karaoke host in this incredibly dodgy pub, which was also amazingly lovely. I think Hemingway said, if you want help, go to poor people. Like, if you left your wallet behind or whatever a line, it would go behind the bar with Honest Dave, and anyone, anytime could come back and get stuff. It's awesome. And James Corden was in it, and Russell Tovey. That was quite cool. Then I got seduced by the bright lights of Shopping TV, and went off and did Shopping TV for a few years.
You were the broadcaster. You
I
were in front
was
of
a
the camera.
presenter on Shocking
Present.
TV, which is
Mm.
mad. But yeah, then I wrote this one-man play just for fun. We put it on in Edinburgh, and then it ended up in the West End. But it's been going for about 10 years, toured all over the world, and it's yeah, it's a really good show. And yeah, it's a good one.
That's mad. Mad tech.
Yeah.
So that's all your acting stuff and your
Mm,
sport, which will become important when we look at action.
mm.
But you won loads of awards. You were the top 100 Business Insider Foods, Entrepreneur of the Year finalist. How come, not how come, but how important were the awards? Because these are all now into business, food and business. How important was it?
Yeah. So what happened was I had a job where I was in South America quite a lot, and I fell in love with coffee and coffee people. And I came back, and in a nutshell, I got very, very frustrated with Nespresso, and I basically created the first compostable coffee capsule company for Nespresso machines. So I sold everything, moved back in with my parents, went to Cranfield Uni, got some skills, and set up in their incubator this, like, from my bedroom really. I created compostable coffee company called Halo, and it went very, very well, and I was very lucky, got a little exit. And we grew it to ship to about 60 different countries, I think, millions of capsules, and we kept millions of capsules out of landfill. So yeah, people said nice things about us, and we won some awards, and we built an amazing team. And I stepped back from that business a few years ago, and we took some serious some private equity money, and it moved in a different direction to where I would grow it.
Yeah. And then just finishing off with the food, you also have an alcoholic sausage company. I
I
mean,
do,
why am I not surprised?
because it just, like, some things just need to exist, right?
What's it
Possible
called?
coffee capsule. Dickie's Big Boozy Bangers.
And how's it doing?
It's all right, actually. We had a really nice Waitrose listing before the pandemic, and then we pivoted to e-commerce during the pandemic. And honestly, we couldn't make them fast enough, but we couldn't make any money. Um, who'd have thought the sausage world is really difficult to make money in?
Yeah,
So
especially
it's really
perhaps if you're using good ingredients, perhaps, because
oh,
they say like
this is
sausages are a bit,
oh, you don't want me to tell you about
no,
sausage,
I don't
honestly.
know, because I quite like sausages.
Yeah, no, but we'd only use the finest pork shoulder. But this came out of another point of frustration, actually, which is how I got into blockchain as well, which is that I didn't think a sausage that contained cider tasted like a cider. I couldn't taste it anywhere. So I set about making sausages that actually taste like alcohol. And it was a data-driven research piece for a year where I worked out I could put 9.5% vodka in a protein-based sausage before it would turn the protein. And that was the max. You can't get over it. So we brought out like Bloody Mary, tequila slammers, smoky bourbon, spiced rum, all these beautiful flavors. The Prosecco and apple was an absolute hit as well.
Mm.
And yeah, I had this bangers van we'd go around in, and amazing branding from Big Fish, who'd do like Yo Valley and Charlie Bingham's, and yeah, it was great. It was really lots and lots of fun. Great startup adventure, that one, but very much a side hustle.
So tell me, you briefly alluded to it there. You said the same frustration that brought you into sausages, alcoholic sausages, brought you into blockchain. What was that frustration?
Yeah, so I was a founder member of the British Coffee Association Sustainability Committee, and I wanted to see how we could add more value in the supply chain to the farmers. And I looked at different ways that we could use blockchain in that as an auditing system. This is very early. This is probably 7 or 8 years ago, when it was all a bit like, and it was going very well, and everyone was really up for it. And then the Swiss got involved, and they have quite a chokehold on European coffee. So yeah, you just have to do what they say.
And how did blockchain come into that then? How did that?
Oh, we were trying to see if we could add, so that the quality of the price of coffee is dictated by the quality, and the more authenticity and audit trail you can have in that process of the scoring at source and the actual process the coffee is going through before it gets shipped as a green product, guaranteeing that quality. We were looking at how we could use blockchain technology to create an unadulterable system, really, to remove a lot of fraud. So it was a good concept, and I'm sure it's coming.
Oh, supply chain on blockchain is huge, but you were just too early. There's a lot of almost off the shelf products now that are available. So you're into blockchain now. You've set up the Unseen Agency back in 21.
Wow, this is great. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was happening there? Was actually a twinkle in your eye at this stage, or was it just looking at other clients?
No, I've really got fascinated about NFTs, and I'd always been really interested in how it would work in sport. And there were so many different ways that it could work. And I've been around sport for a long time. Some very close, very, very close family friends are, very big sports agents. So particularly my cousin really, works closely with the Man United class of 92. So there's a bit around it and been involved in quite a lot of the deal making for some time. And basically in 2021, when the big when everything really started to kick off, there were just a group of us who were providing the whole creative concepts plus the commercials to all these different brands and IP holders and rights holders and different people. And they were just getting dev teams spun up, taking these, you do this piece of consultancy, they take they go, this is great, thanks, we'll take it from here, and go and make crazy money with it. But it was all very short term, and we were trying to encourage them to actually do more long-term sustainable stuff. And I mean,
because it can backfire, because there's been a couple of clubs in the UK have done like NFTs, and they've been seen as money grabs by the players, haven't they? So, and they've just dumped. It's not straightforward.
Because they were. Like, I remember Patrick Mahomes, the big NFL quarterback, sold an NFT for $3 million, which was a helmet. And amazing crew that did it, Impossible Brief. And I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy. What? I don't understand what this is. How is this an investment or a flex? This is way, way too much, because it's nothing. There's no utility to it. Anyway, so we got I pulled together a band of vogues and a group of rogues and vagabonds who all had amazing skills, and we're all basically doing the same thing. We came together to do a project which I was really excited about, with the creator of Judge Dredd. John Wagner is an amazing guy. And he is a big Man United fan, and we were going to do this really interesting comic book concept, which we still might do. So I went,
don't give it away. Don't give it away.
Yeah. But like, it was amazing, because he's like my hero, one of my heroes. I'm a big geek. I really am a big comic geek. And but it didn't happen because the rights holders were super, super greedy. And then we were like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to have a think about what we can do together that won't involve IP, won't have to deal with sports agents. Because even though I know plenty of them, and I love them personally, professionally, and they're very good at what they do, no matter who you are. We decided we'd build something interesting, and we just hit upon the concept of action, which is where the purest moment of sport is the action an athlete takes, a hit of the cricket ball, tennis, a punch thrown, or a kick of a football, that moment. And that can't be owned by IP or a broadcaster. And that's the moment we all go and watch the game for. That's why we're sitting in front of the TV, because we want to see these moments. And I can still remember the best moments I ever had playing rugby, when I would get the ball and I would score, I'd do a tackle, or even just watching them around me. They're just forever there. And so we went to the Premier League data rights, the main data provider, Opta. Stats Perform is the mothership, and Opta is the company. And we asked them, we want the touch data of the Premier League, because we want
the touch data. What's the touch data?
So we know every time a footballer touches a football in the Premier League, we know the outcome. So we know if it's a pass, a tackle, a head, a goal, a shot, everything.
Have you gathered that, or is that stored someplace?
So there's multiple APIs that are multiple data sets that are produced through through Opta, the data company, but they never meshed them together before. So we had to create basically our own tech platform, essentially, to mesh all of these together, done by our amazing CTO, who's super smart, led by Ben, who is like an amazing head of product as well, crazy smart. And we pulled it all together so that we were able to know the outcome of those touches, and then that allowed us to link it to a smart contract, and then that allowed us to make them ownable. So you could be a part of the live match because you own one of those touches. So if you just taking boxing as an example, if there's a boxing match, average is like 400 punches thrown. You have 400 different ownable punches. And if someone has punch 300 and it's knockout punch, you can have a crazy prize and something really amazing. So we took it into football.
And is there for each touch only one NFT, or will you have multiple? No, it's one-on-ones.
Yeah. So we divided. We took the top 100 Premier League players and gave them each 100 touches, 100 actions, and we made those ownable. So they're NFTs, and it's cyclical. So when it gets to 100, it goes back to 1. And you could have Kevin De Bruyne touch 50, and if he scores a goal on that touch, you win a prize, which is 3 times the price you paid for it. 1.5 if it's an assist, and then his next touch is 51, and then in 3 games time you might win again.
So how are the touches generated? Is it through live games?
Yeah, live. So it's all live. It's not. There's no fantasy element. There's no fakery. It's all live. So every player at the Premiership season on August the 12th starts on touch 1, and we'll count every single one through the season, and it will go.
Be 100 per go. And then is that 100 within a single game or over a number?
No, 100 over a number of games.
Because they might only get 30 touches in one game, for example.
Yeah, or if you're Erling Haaland in the Champions League final, he had 5 passes. I think his total touch count didn't make it over double digits, which is crazy because he scored like 44 goals and assists last season. So you have a 44% chance of winning with him. So it's incredible, right?
Okay, so each player, I'm sorry, and how many players are you doing this with?
100.
100 across all the different clubs.
Yeah, and I've actually built a system so that each club is represented.
Okay. You have 100 touches, and then throughout the season, if they get to more, it rolls around. All done live. So your users, do they buy them? So do people buy like in advance of the games, or how does that work?
You own it for the whole season.
So I go into Starlink and I said, I want player X and I want his 50th touch.
We've made it a random purchase.
Okay.
So you'll purchase your NFT. Then there's a reveal of what player you have. And then you can sell it, trade it, keep it. It's up to you. So you might be, for example, I don't know, you might be a Everton fan like me. So any player from Everton is going to do rubbish next year. But I kind of like to have one because they're the games I'll most be watching. But I might get, Erling Haaland, who I know is going to give me the most chance of winning. Or I might get someone from Liverpool, in which case, I want a Mo Salah. I know I'm going to win, but I would sell him simply because
No emotional attachment to it, perhaps.
Yeah, so there's that, and also the we have it's a membership club. So you're actually purchasing a lifetime membership, and we're giving you a ticket for this game, an action for this season-long game. So you're in it for the whole season, but you've got membership for life. And because of all the contacts and experience and years we've got in sport, plus I should mention our crew includes the ex-head of sport and NFTs at Binance and the ex-head of NFTs at Outlier Ventures. Yeah, Ryan and Robin, who are both, like Ryan did the Ronaldo deal, which is about 60 million, and Robin knows, so much about NFTs. So
how do you snaffle them with your charm?
Do you know, there's a really simple answer to this, and I really appreciate you saying my charm. It's not. It's actually, we're all at the same point in our lives where we could do lots of different things. So for us to really commit to one thing, it has to be with people we really like. And that's it. It was like, if we all get along and we all want to work together, then let's do this. Because there's so many ways you could waste your life. People you don't want to work with or people you don't like, and life's just too short. So it's like, right, let's do a really cool thing that we're really passionate about, that can be massively, massively scalable, with nice people.
Sounds like a good recipe. So tell me, on a more prosaic question, how much do the NFTs cost? There's membership and NFTs. The first, how much will they cost?
Yes, we've got 3 tiers. So you are on, so OGs are OGs, of which there are 200. I always thought it was old guys, but it's original gangster.
Original gangster, yeah.
Which obviously I definitely am. Original gangster. They are 0.04 ETH. And our VIPs, which have 1,000 of, are 0.05. And then our public mint is 0.06. And then our tier 2 is 0.05. So we have 2 tiers, top 25 players and everyone else.
And then when you buy your membership and your first NFT, and you can buy more than, presumably, if you want to. And then you can the trading thing happens.
Yeah.
And then can you buy before the season starts?
Yeah. So the mint is 10 days before the season starts.
It opens.
Yeah. So I build the player roster of the players that should be starting on the first day of the Premiership, given transfers and injuries. And then we do the mint, and then we do the reveal, and then we have 7 days before kickoff. So you can trade, you can sell, you can buy more. By which point they're all revealed, so you can really know who you want to get. You might just want to build, have all 3 players from Everton or 6 from Arsenal, and then away we go. And it happens. And this is the thing about Action I should be very clear about. We've spent a year building it with our own resources. So it's not, I don't call it a project. It's a business. We're in it for the next 10 years. It's not dependent on the sales to exist. It's happening on August the 12th. We're doing it. It's kicking off. And I really love that, because I think a lot of the projects that I was in last year and the year before and earlier this year, a lot of them were like, oh, you're buying these and that's the investment we need to do our project. And I was like, okay. And now we've massively moved on now. It's like you put your skin in the game, you get a good team together, you have a real long-term business plan, and you go and execute it. And so people buy first editions, not,
Yeah. And then tell me, so I'm going back to the users now, the game players. So when they buy these, so can you gamble on? Is there a gambling aspect to this as well, or is it just like a game of luck?
It's actually a private members lottery.
Okay, very important, because I know gaming is a difficult thing. A private lottery.
So one of the earliest things we did actually was bring on an expert in this field, Matt Norris. He's been in game for about 25 years in gambling and gaming structures. And we wanted to make sure from the beginning that we knew where we stood in case we had to apply for a gambling license. And having spoken to the Gambling Commission, they're like, okay, if you do it this way, your members are playing a private members lottery. So that's nice. But there are plans, down the line to expand in all sorts of areas, which I'm obviously quite excited about. I've already got the next, 3 years of expansion mapped out. You know how my brain works.
Yeah, in strange ways.
That's true.
What about match day experiences? Is that something you're going to offer? Or how will you create that?
100%. One of the first things I did was phone around all the different football clubs and ask how much a box was. Because 50%, so 50% of sales go into a prize pool on chain, and everyone can see the payouts, and everyone who's a member, everyone who owns an Action NFT, controls that prize pool. So it's up to the community how it's spent after the prizes are dished out. And we reckon there'll be about 20 to 30% of that prize pool that will remain unallocated. And then that's up to the community to decide what to spend it on. It could be 3 25 grand jackpots or 100 grand. Or it could be, well, look, why don't we get a box at Old Trafford for a year and everyone can just come and use it. And we'll just run a variety of different, incentive plans / community-driven projects. So someone might be like, oh, look, I'm going to buy an Action and hopefully I'll get, some tickets for this or some signed merchandise for this. And I can use it either for myself or I can use it to help a charity I support or a community, or I could sell it, whatever. It's up to you what you do with it.
Could the community decide to do a bursary for a young athlete or something like that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the intention is we start in football and we move to many, many different sports, which are all actually a lot easier than football, cricket, boxing, and so on. So yeah, bursaries for young sports people. It could be that they might decide, okay, let's do 5 grand lottery, but it's actually for our local football clubs, for our kids' teams. It's really driven by the community.
Yeah. Does the Premier League get anything out of this?
No, this is the beautiful thing about this. So you've got companies like Socios and Sorare, who are probably the most predominant players in football. Sorare just paid 30 million for the rights, for the Premier League rights for 3 years. We don't need to do that because we're working directly on the data, so directly with the data providers. So we have the same data that Sky Sports would get, or Bet365, or the BBC. It's absolute. I've checked the BBC actually. It's the top Premier package, and then it's what we do with that data that allows us to bypass that IP gatehouse, essentially.
What about how are the prizes allocated? You mentioned the prizes. So people have their NFTs, so those prizes are allocated. How does that work?
Oh, so if you win on a goal or an assist. Oh, well, you autoplay. This is another great thing. So you don't have to log in all the time. Your touch is always there. Your action is always there, playing for you whenever your player's there. And you'll be alerted that you've got a prize to claim.
And the prize claim, comes from the fact that your player scored a goal.
Yeah. So if your player scores a goal, if on your action.
Yeah, gotcha. So you don't have like goalkeepers as players.
No goalies. In fact, outside the reason why we did it as the top 100 was it's much more.
Of course,
there's between a 44 and a 5% chance of winning.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then tell me finally, what about Web3 and community? How is that important, and how does that? We mentioned briefly earlier there was some rug pulls and just cash grabs by different clubs. So this has a different feel to it. How would you differentiate this, your membership and what your members are doing with the other rug pulls that have been, I'm not nothing, you're not with the other rug pulls, but with other fan engagement projects that haven't maybe come off so well?
Yeah, that is a great question. What makes us not just another Web3 football game, but the Web3 football game is the question. Do you know, I could say it's because we've got a fully open team, we're a bit older and more experienced, we've already built it, and all these things. But I've actually been in projects where all that is a really good example is Area 1 by OneFootball, which this week they just closed it. And that was basically a project by a huge media company who bought the rights to Serie A collectibles. They just decided to close it. I think the difference with us is that no one's done it before, use data in this way. And so we're solving a genuine problem, which is not using that going around that massive IP barrier to create something that connects us as fans directly to something live that we're watching, which has real utility because you can really win and you can see it all happening. And so my dream is for us to be the real second screen ticking away. And because it's sports agnostic, the vast potential of it is quite boggling. And yet it's so simple. It's so simple at its heart. It's like the action of a person.
I should say action is spelled here as AKSHUN. So
yes.
It's the cool way to spell it.
We're very cool.
Very cool. So tell me, call to action. Somebody listening to this podcast or watching the video, what should they do?
Okay, go onto our website, www.action.xyz, AKSHUN. I'm sure links will be attached. Follow us on Twitter. We've got our white paper available. And get involved, not just on social media. I've got an opinion on where I think social media and Web3 is going. And I think if you come on the website, get on the allow list if you can, and get ready to purchase on August the 3rd. And I really, really genuinely think that you are in this tough market, in the darkness, this really is the diamond in the rough. It really is. It's been a year in the build, and it's happening. And you can be part of it.
Well, Richard Keeswick from Action, thank you, Action XYZ. Thank you so much for your time today. And yes, people, please rush to the website and do as he says. Thank you.
Thanks very much.